Hi there, this is my channel, Jaru Walks. In the year 2024, I will embark on an epic walking journey across the United States. I plan to hike 8,000 miles and to cross the U.S. 3 times, via the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, and Continental Divide Trail. In the hiking world, this is known as a calendar year Triple Crown and has been completed by only a handful of hikers in history. The calendar year Triple Crown has traditionally been completed by jumping within or between the trails throughout the year, primarily to avoid snow, but also to avoid other seasonal hazards such as floods, extreme desert heat, and wildfires. For my attempt, I'm trying to hike each trail on a continuous, unbroken, end-to-end footpath, and to accomplish this, I must hike across all 4 seasons. I will be posting weekly updates along the way, so you can join me for the journey. Wish me luck. Alrighty, so I'm here with, was it Hurry Up, right?
Hurry up.
Okay, cool. And so you're section hiking this year? And
Yes,
so from where to where?
Willamette Pass to Timberline Lodge.
Okay, and that must be ahead of where I'm hiking because I have no idea where any of that is. Is that like Washington and Oregon?
It is, Timberline Lodge is just before the Bridge of the Gods, the Cascade Lodge.
Okay, all right. I know what Bridge of the Gods is because like 2 days ago I didn't, and someone thought it was hilarious.
Just on the bottom of Mount Hood.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. And so, how much of the PCT have you hiked so far?
I have done this trip will be around 190 miles of Oregon PCT.
Yep.
In Washington, I have done 3 best sections.
Yep.
That's around like 400 miles total.
Okay, and so you're a section hiker, and so for people who don't know what a section hiker is, can you briefly explain that?
Yes, because section hikers is where either do the whole state in one section or in pieces of it because of time constraints and other commitments.
You have a job, you have kids, right? Yeah.
So every summer I come out and do like for 3 weeks so that I can cover like about 150 miles max. And that also I get to smell the roses, so to speak. I eat huckleberries, blueberries, all those beautiful bounty that's in the forest. So basically that's what section hike is.
What's your
slow paced?
What's your favorite thing you've seen so far on this section?
On this section so far, 3 Sisters.
Okay.
3 Sisters, the lava walk were brutal but gorgeous.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just went through that, so I know. I fully agree. And then, of all the hiking you've done, like on long trails, because you've hiked parts of the AT as well, right?
It's Smoky Mountains.
Smoky Mountains.
Yes.
What's your maybe favorite memory?
The Smoky Mountains is absolutely that. The view that you get when you come out of the tree tunnel, especially when you're going from the western side to the eastern side, but just before Clingman Stone. That's the place where it will come. Absolutely beautiful. And I've done it many times because I'm building a house there. So
it's funny. Yeah.
Awesome.
I was hiking through there back in I think it was like the first week of February.
Right.
And then all the snow dropped, but it started to melt. Right. And then as it was melting, I could smell the aroma of the trees. And I remember I paused, and it was about 5 miles before Clingman's Dome, that exact spot you're talking about.
Exactly.
I just paused to emphasize how good it smelled.
It's
right?
beautiful. It's a rainforest.
Yeah.
It's a temperate rainforest. It rains quite a bit.
I learned that in the first week. Yeah.
That's past the Clingman Stone. There's another beautiful spot. It's very famous. Everybody goes there. It's called Charlie's Bunyan. And it's like a rock outcrop. It's got a beautiful 270 degrees view of the Tennessee side. Beautiful mountains.
Awesome.
I love the Smoky Mountains.
Yeah. And then you said you're building a modern cabin out there?
Yeah, up on the North Carolina side near Cherokee border. That's because I always wanted to live in that part of the world. As I'm approaching retirement, I figured I do building on the side I'm a structural engineer, so I love to do structures.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a bigger project now. It's supposed to be a small cabin, but it's kind of mushroomed.
So in your design of the cabin, are you going with what would be more of a kind of like you're just picking the plans out of a book, or are you designing it from scratch?
From scratch, paper and pencil, old way.
I had a feeling,
Yes, old way, and then I also built a model house first, just to see 3D. I just like play with it. It's like school supplies.
So what? I'm just curious. What are some aspects of your design that are different from a conventional house? You know what I mean?
Yeah. This will be almost like a LEED certification, which means highly energy efficient. I use construction called ICF. Insulated concrete forms. So basically, you have 2 courses of insulation, and then you pour concrete into it with steel rebars. This thing is like a Hurricane E5 rated, extremely energy efficient. Very little energy needed to heat.
So you're saying it's structurally sound. So if a hurricane hit it, it's good, but it's also energy efficient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
and
So
that's
cool.
what it is. That's because my background is structural engineering, and it's very custom built. I do most of that myself, the shell, but then I had to use the skilled labor to finish the roof and those kind of things.
You know how like architects, they think about like the human experience or something? I don't really know what they do, but I have some friends who are architects. Like, do you consider things like that? Kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, like what is it going to be like for my family or my wife or
Absolutely
this or
correct.
that?
In
So like,
fact,
how do you incorporate that into your design for your home?
For
Yeah.
instance, as you get older, first thing that most people will have problem is the knees. Most people. So if you don't want a house where there are too many steep steps, so and then the floor plan should be simple enough for a 55 plus year crowd can just move around. Everything is in one floor, and I put another upper floor for a younger person like the kids. They can go. So essentially, when you incorporate it in a design where one floor should pretty much take care of everything you need in a house for older crowd. That's more important.
What about like the kitchen and the living room? I feel like those are, to me, like when I think of like a home, it's like you have to me, all I care about is bedroom, living room, and kitchen personally.
got it.
And so I'm curious, what have you done with the kitchen? What have you done with the living room? And are they like closed off from each other, or are they connected?
Absolutely correct.
Yeah,
Correct. You got it. In fact, one of the thing about the flow, the kitchen will talk to the dining room, open layout. The dining room will talk to like an L shape to the living room. So this is where most of the traffic and conversations and activity in the family. So I kept an open layout. So when you come in, you see the living room with the big windows of the Smoky Mountains ridges, beautiful.
Yeah.
And then after the right of that is the one dining room attached directly to the kitchen. So the layout is good enough for a family to always interact with each other instead of like shutting themselves in another room. I don't have that, and I have a small office room in the front, which is obviously slightly different, closed off for any meetings, those kind of things.
Right.
And the bedroom is off after that, so that's a private area. So it's a pretty simple layout. I start my design with 3 rectangles.
Sorry, say that again.
I start my design with 3 rectangles.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it. One
Yep.
rectangle is the bedroom,
Yep.
bathroom combination. The middle rectangle, which is bigger, will be the great room or the gathering living room with an entryway when you come into the house.
Yep. I can imagine.
Other smaller rectangle will be the kitchen, dining.
So is it kind of shaped like forward, sideways, back, like that, and then you come
think
in?
of a simple
Yeah.
3 rectangles next to each other.
Yep.
That's it. The
Yeah.
middle one will be longer rectangle. Other 2 will be equal. It's a simple way to construct an ICF house.
And then is the outside, like, is it wood on the outside or is it concrete?
No, this because it's a forest. Speaking of forest fire, being a PCT hiker, you know all about it. That's important. Even though North Carolina is a temperate rainforest, the risk of fire is much less there compared to here. But you never know. So what I did, the entire house is basically like cladded with concrete siding. All the way till the roof is metal. The whole house is sided with concrete siding. That will give a much better fire resistance. So that is always in my mind when I design this house.
Brilliant. Okay.
And rainwater, I built 2 water tanks inbuilt into the lower level, which is the ICF basement. So I put a liner, so I can store up to 7,000 gallons of water. The house is at 4,600 feet elevation. So basically, most people will drill about 800 feet to take water out. I said, why bother? Just take it from the roof, store it, treat it. So this is like kind of like a almost half grid. It's up to me.
And it's a rainforest area, like you're saying. So
It
like there's
rains, at that location where I built, 56 inches of rain every year.
So it doesn't matter if the rain comes this month or in 4 months, as long as it's up to max. You know what I mean? You're always good, and then whatever is extra can flow off. And out.
One rainfall,
Yeah.
2 inches will fill up my full tank of 8,000 gallons.
Yeah.
Almost. So plus I'll set up a fire line, they call it. Put like a sprinkler system around just in case.
Do you run off of solar on that?
No, I can, but there's power available in that place.
So you have both. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. I know that's a hard part because you can't, when you get the land, it's gotta kind of already has to be there. Yeah. Super cool.
I will send some pictures later.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
So you'll know how
Yeah, if you send them to me, if I have time to edit it, I'll try to overlay them on the video.
Awesome.
And then one last thing, which you may not have thought of, which might be too much work, but I thought later in life it'd be cool, like in the backyard, to have like a AT style lean-to. You should build something like that on your property. Like you could just like have the kids out there, or I don't know, whatever. Yeah. Or if you trail angel AT hikers, you can be like, okay, I sleep out in the lean-to. Like, no.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
This house is going to be a little bit of a detour from when you come through AT.
Yeah.
There's one of the shelter called Tri-Corner.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I stayed there. Oh, it's a doggy.
And it is from that shelter. Actually, my idea is to walk. In fact, and the house will be finished in November.
Yeah.
A few of my friends were going to walk from the shelter all the way to my house.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, I got distracted. Say that one more time.
no, the Tri-Condor Knob shelter.
Yes.
From there, there's another trail called Balsam Mountain Trail.
Yeah.
That will take you all the way to one more shelter off of the 80. Then from there, it's like another, I would say, 30 miles walk to my house.
Nice.
So what I'm saying is, I can walk from my house to the 80.
And what's the total distance? You probably just said that, but
What about, I would say, about totally from the Newfound Gap,
yep.
which is where the 80 passes the
Yep.
Highway 4.
Yep.
It'll be around 50 miles.
Okay, awesome.
house.
And for a through hiker, that's not bad at all.
Right.
Yeah.
There's also another place called Water Rock Knob off
Yep.
of the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Yep.
There's another trail called Benton McKay Trail that
Yep.
runs parallel to 80.
Yep. Yep.
That's only like 5 miles from my house.
So cool. Yeah.
They both come together
Yeah.
very close within the Smoky Mountain National Park, 80 and everything. But
Awesome.
hopefully I'll be done. Then I'll share some pictures with you.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks for the interview. Hurry up. And yeah, thanks for sharing about all the design. That was so cool going into the discussion of the design of your house, because it's so clear you've thought about every aspect of it. And it's always fun talking to anybody who's thought about every aspect of something. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
And
yeah.
Good luck to you.
Thank you. I appreciate
on
it.
Your Triple Crown.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is
Cool.
amazing physical feat.
I appreciate
Most people know, few people know, but most people don't understand what kind of fitness and dedication and commitment you need to finish that in one single year. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Good luck.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. Great to meet you. Forgot to film this as I was walking in last night or this morning. But when you approach the campground area back there with the general store, the fire line came right up to within, I don't know, 100, 200 yards, meters from the general store. But right in that campground area, you could see all the trees were unburned. And when I saw that, it's like, there's a story there. That didn't just happen by chance. Everything around looked like this. Just, not just burned, but this is like as bad. When you talk about like a hellacious inferno burn, this is one of those. This would vaporize you if you were here. There are other fires where you could like walk around and avoid it. This would burn you from probably like, I don't know, a football field away. I mean, just look at that tree. And they all look like that. There's not a single tree that survived, like literally. Not anywhere in eyesight. And so the story there is that the firefighters came and they protected that area. And that's something I've seen time and again, is these places that are like the livelihood of the people who run them, but they're also like the places some families out here have been coming to for like generations. The fires burn right up, but you see that the trees right around that area are protected. And so this morning I was talking to the lady running the store, and I was like, hey, and I just kind of more or less just said what I said. Is there any truth to that? She just like got quiet and just nodded. She's like, yep, they're heroes. And I was like, oh, if you don't mind sharing. So she shared. She said they arrived like 12 hours before the fire got to her area, and they spoke to her and they said, we're going to save your cabin and this campground. The firefighter said, but that's it. And the lady nodded and she understood what that meant, which is that in every area across that giant lake, every tree in eyesight would be burned. But he was committing to her that her general store and the trees in the campground area right around it, he was just staking it, they will be spared. So in the next 6 hours, he and his team erect a giant fire barrier wall on 3 sides of the campground. They wrap everything in tinfoil, like industrial yard-length tinfoil. Helicopters start showing up. The fire retardant squads show up. Several fire trucks show up, and they're just pumping water right out of that lake and just going to war with the fire. And so the fire just marches its way in, and they're standing right in the path of it, basically blasting water.
right into it. And kind of like a force field, the fire just stops in its tracks right there and burns its way all the way around. But true to that firefighter's word, the cabin and the trees in the campground were spared, and every single other tree for 2 miles in every direction burned. So there's the silver lining. And like I said, when I saw it last night, I said to myself, there's a story there. And what's remarkable is the last 2 or 3 resupplies I've done, including the youth camp, including the marina, including, I don't think that Eagle Lake had a fire, but that's 3 of the last 4 resupplies. Every tree in the vicinity was burned, but the immediate campground area was spared. Which just goes to show you, A, how devastating the fires are out here, but B, how remarkable it is that these firefighters were able to save those kind of like community treasures. And again, you can feel these are places that families, you know, it's largely people who have RVs. They come out here and they camp at the lake. And it's like, I don't know, at least the trees in the campground are spared, so you can sit in the shade and, you know, and it feels like the real camping experience. But now the trees around the lake are all burned, but they spared these areas, which means not only that lady can continue to operate her campground, but also all the thousands of people that come out here each summer have that place to still come to. It's pretty amazing. And that goes for 3 of the last 4 resupplies as well. Similar looking campgrounds, and specifically just the campground area was unburned and everything else around it was burned. There's something stunning about these logs. Part of it's that there's no like undergrowth. All you see are the trees. And it's funny because if you shift your head around and look in any direction, there's so many and they're offset from each other that pretty much all I can see are tree trunks. I just ran into Snowball on trail. He's the Slovenian hiker. I think like the 3rd to ever hike the AT and the PCT, or the first, whatever. But he's out here. And then he's hiking with another guy, Bullfrog, and together they are attempting a 100-mile challenge. So hiking all the way to Cascade Locks from where I spent last night, which I think is 99 miles, but I'm sure that if you add on little detours for water and whatnot, that probably adds up to 100. And so the plan with that is for them to hike all the way through without going to sleep again. So it might take more than a day, but what makes it 100 is that they don't sleep again until they arrive in Cascade.
Tomorrow, 8 a.m. and I'm still not there.
Alrighty, next morning. That was an awesome day hiking yesterday. I think I mentioned it, but I re-met Snowball from Slovenia and hiked with him and his friend Bullfrog. And they're 2 of the fastest hikers I've met on the PCT. Bullfrog is super fast. And he had this idea of attempting a 100-mile challenge, and he ended up making it 49 miles last night, and so I ended up joining in for the fun. I wasn't planning to go for the 100, But I was planning to make it up here to the Timberline Lodge in 2 miles to the halfway mark. But we all sat down, and then the last 2 miles are just this ultra for the PCT steep incline. And so I decided, or not I, we all just kind of sat there for 30 minutes. I think if any one of us had walked up the hill, everyone else would have followed, but no one wanted to. And that was the right call, because it was a difference between going to bed at like 2:40 in the morning and going to bed at 4 in the morning. Going to bed at 4 is like, that's the next day already. 2:40 is as late as it gets, and it's still the same day, in my opinion. So, anyway, yeah, just a really good time hiking with some really strong hikers. Holy cow. It's 2.5 miles straight up sand. I think I'm about to run into that cloud. It's gonna be cool if I do. Couldn't have planned that any better. This is the next cliff down. I'm now in the cloud. I think it's gonna keep getting foggier. Gotta figure out how to get across this thing. I assume they know something I don't. River is not cooperating. And then for the last 20 minutes, I haven't seen anybody, which is fun about the PCT. Even though it's super popular, it really doesn't matter how busy it is. You'll always find long periods where you don't see anybody. Quite literally walking in a cloud. Every now and then you're on the ground. In fact, all the time we're on the ground. And occasionally when we're on the ground, at least I do, look up at the clouds and I think, oh, what is it like to be up there? This is a rare moment where I am in the cloud. So out in the middle of nowhere, I just crossed a road back. These are power lines over me. I crossed a road, and this guy who's like driving erratically asked if I'm a hiker. And then I was like, yeah. And he's like trying to figure out where to park. And then I was with a friend. He says, oh, well, there's a parking lot over there. And then like, I don't know, 5 minutes later, he comes walking up. He doesn't really respond to us because we said something to him. And then he starts walking down the PCT. And he had a tiny backpack on. Like, this guy is not a hiker. And in fact, he wasn't even really dressed appropriately for hiking. But he had a small backpack on that didn't look like a camping backpack, and nothing about him looked like he knew what he was doing. And he walked right ahead, right down this trail, like 10 minutes ago. So I wonder if I'm going to meet him again. These giant uprooted trees remind me of hiking through the Smokies on the Appalachian Trail. There are a lot of trees like that. I think they were more like pine. One more time, your trail name and your dog's name?
Justin Lionhearted.
Justin Lionhearted. Now I see, very fitting name.
This is Riker Suna.
Riker Suna, yeah.
My bicycle's name was Lionheart.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah. Do you mind just telling me one more time the story of I'm so bad at saying the name. Tell me her name one more time. The dog? Yep.
Riker.
Riker Suna, right?
Yeah. His real name is Riker Suna.
Oh, Suna. Yeah.
The Suna is dog and cat.
Yes. And so, could you tell me one more time the story of how you met Riker in Thailand? Yeah.
Tell the whole story.
How Riker chose you.
Decades ago, missionaries like gone to northern Thailand. So because of that, there's like a small Christian community there. And I met someone from there, and they invited me to church. So it was Sunday, and I had bought a bicycle, which I named Sunatsu, the dog fight. And I was riding to church. And I rode by a art gallery called La Luna. And as I rode by, this dog was running out of the art gallery. And I love all the dogs, so I said, "Hi, Suna," as I rode by. And then I needed to take a turn, and I missed it. And I went through the intersection. I was like, "Oh, geez, that's my turn." So I stopped to turn around. And as I turned around at the intersection, this dog continued to follow me. And he almost got hit by 2 cars as he ran through the street to come up to me. And because the last thing I want to do is get a dog ran over. And he runs up to me and he jumps up on me and he smelled terrible. I was like, But I pet him anyway. "Hi, buddy. How are you?" And it was that moment right there that he chose me. I didn't know it yet. But, "Hey, buddy. How are you? You okay? Okay." Now, at that point, I thought that he lived there. I didn't know it was an art gallery. So I carefully get us across the street. We go back to the art gallery. And I go over to the people. And I was like, "Is this your dog?" And a lot of people in Thailand love dogs. A lot of people see them as dirty animals. Mm-hmm. So they're like, no dog, go. No dog, go. I was like, okay. And then I see it's an art gallery. It's like, okay, you don't live here. And then he's just looking at me, wagging his tail, panting, like, all right. They have these shrines in Thailand. It's like a sect of Buddhism. Like, it's like the shrines like represent like the house spirits. Like Thailand's like a 95% Buddhist country, and anyone who is a Buddhist, whether it's their business or their home, they have one of these like shrines in the front of their house or property. So they're everywhere. And sometimes they have little offerings at them. So I sit down at the shrine, recognizing it as a holy place. I'm non-denominational. And I say a little prayer, what to do with this dog, because I don't want him to get run over. I thought I was supposed to go to church. What's going on? And in my prayer, I say, I wish I had someone to give him, for he's hungry. And I swear, I must have sat on it, but I swear I hadn't noticed it. And once I said that prayer, I suddenly feel something under my leg. And I look, and there's a little rice cake. These like sweet rice cakes. So I give it to him, and he eats it up. He's like, "Oh, that's great." So I was like, all right, well, I can't keep going to church, because if he's going to follow me, it was like 4 miles away still. I wouldn't make it if I didn't ride there. And if I start riding, he's going to zigzag and get run over by a car. So, well, let's see if he's going to follow me or if he's going to, just run off somewhere. So I started walking back to my hostel. And I walked back across the whole city of Chiang Mai, trucker hostel. Cool, like, I mean, the other hikers there, they weren't, or the other campers, the other hostelers. What do you call people that stay at hostels?
Hostel dwellers? I don't know.
Yeah. The other people staying there weren't hikers, but the whole hostel, like the theme of it was like a hiker hostel. Called Trucker Camp. And certainly I walked across the city to get there. Before him too. So we walk back, I walk back there, he follows me the whole way.
Across the whole city.
Across the whole
How
city.
many miles?
Just like 3.
Okay,
like
yeah. But the whole way, yeah.
Downtown area.
Yeah.
I don't know how big the city is if you count the sprawl. When we get there, they don't allow dogs inside, but I go inside, and he starts freaking out immediately. He's running around, he's crying, he's looking for me. So I try to convince him to let him in, but they do not let dogs inside, and he didn't smell too good, so I might not let him in either. If I were them. It would have had to completely douse the room in bleach. But yeah, I didn't sleep in my hostel that night. I slept in their parking lot with them. And at that point, I was like on the streets of Chiang Mai. And generally, you don't want to be derelict in a foreign country. So I thought it'd be a good idea to hitchhike out of Chiang Mai and go to a small town that I'd heard about called Pai. Figured we get to camp in nature there. And I was right about that. I'd heard about Pai. And Pai is one of my favorite places ever. We were there for more than a month. I found a physician teaching English, not there, elsewhere, but while I was there, sending out applications. And yeah, he was with me the whole time. Went over to camp. At first, the street dogs there were like territorial, and like it's logistically a nightmare. We couldn't walk down the street in Thailand because dogs would come out from nowhere, and not all of them, but some of them would be super territorial aggro, and they would attack them. So just walking down the street, and they were like random battle. I don't know if you ever play role-playing games.
Just maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Random battle encounters. You're
Okay.
walking in
And then just like yeah.
And like a monster shows out, just like all of a sudden, like a dog comes out, and he's trying to fight him, and it was difficult, but it was cool because there was this one spot called the Tea House, and I would go and hang out there. That's where like people were smoking ganja, doing drum circles, and like talking. I was meeting people from all over the world, Europe, other Asian countries, Middle East, Africa, and just all these different perspectives. It was so cool. I love Pai. And the street dogs in that area, he made friends with them. It took like a couple of weeks, and I helped because at first they were like, they would aggro him, but like I would feed him treats, the street dogs, and I'd pet him, so they really liked me. It was funny. There was one of them. He was the leader of this group. I named him Frumpy, and he was a strong fucking dog, but he just like looked frumpy. So he'd come up. We'd be at the tea house, and he would come up and just like growl at him and try to fucking fight him. And I'd have to get in between him, and he'd look at me and like and wag his tail, and so I'd give him treats and kind of like shoo him off. It took him a couple weeks of that, but he eventually accepted them. And then at that point, like we joined the street dogs. So we like joined this like this street dog gang pack. It was so cool. So there's this whole like dog world.
The two of you joined, right?
Yeah. Like a couple times, the pack of the street dogs followed us back to where we were sleeping.
So what's the dog world? You said you kind of
There's these different packs that have different territories. So like in front of the tea house, there was Frumpy, and there was the little guy, and he was like a little puppy, and there was oh man, I forgot his name, but I love this. It was like this little black dog, and there was I'm forgetting their names. It was more than a year ago now. Rascal. I named him Rascal. So he was like that. He kept stealing food. So yeah, that was like this pack in front of the tea house, and a block away in front of the Supermoon Bar Cafe, that was like the line of their territory and like this other dog pack. And I didn't name any of them, but that's like where they like fight at night. like all the tourists are asleep and no one is aware that this doggo drama is happening, but like at night, like the dogs are having like territory battles.
Yeah.
So we kind of like became a part of that.
Yeah.
I thought it was amazing. Yeah, I could go on to the present moment, but
so then you moved back to the U.S. and then.
Well, first I got a job teaching English in
Yeah.
Chonburi. Got an apartment. We were there for 5 months.
Yeah.
And there's a 5-month process getting the rabies vaccinations, blood tests, and then a CDC dog import permit. I had to. My work visa ended. Happy
How's it going?
My work visa ended, and I had to leave the country before the permit was approved. So I left him with a dog sitter, and I was wiring them money. I went back to USA, and I got a job and started grinding out money. The permit, and I applied for it. Once you get the blood test that proves that he doesn't have rabies and is immune to rabies, then you apply for the permit. It got rejected, denied 4 times. About stupid stuff about like, oh, well, the veterinarian put the year as the Buddhist calendar year, not the common era year.
Oh, okay.
So, like, rejected. Okay, I fixed it. No, the veterinarian has to make original. Rejected again.
Yeah.
So after the 4th time, I threatened a lawsuit against them. Clearly, they were discriminating against me and my dog because of the veterinarian's tie and my dog's tie. Because it's just a stupid reason about like Buddhist thing. He's clearly immune to the rabies. Yeah, I'm a pretty good writer. So it worked. It worked. I threatened a lawsuit. They approved it immediately.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that felt like a big victory.
Well, congrats to you and Riker. That's
Yeah.
such a good story.
Yeah, we got back. We got him home by Christmas. And I mean, within a week of him following me, I had come up with the idea, you know, what am I going to do after Thailand? What are we going to do together? We should hike one of the long trails.
Yeah.
He'll love that. I'll love that. I would like to go for the Triple Crown. It kind of is dependent on, A, if my knees give out on me or not. B, if I find a partner that wants to. It's on my list of things to do. And we're doing it right now.
Awesome.
We're doing it right now.
We'll keep the adventure running.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing some of your stories. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Night shade, right?
Night shift. Yep.
Night shift.
Yep.
Oh,
Awesome.
I thought you said night shift.
Oh yeah, people.
That would be a promise too.
Yeah, that would be cool too.
Do you do a lot of night hiking?
I do. Yeah, I got my name on the Arizona Trail. Because I've been in such a hurry that I haven't been keeping up with the news. I thought the only fire in Oregon was the Crater Lake fire, but there's some other fire that's right up here, right off the trail. I don't think it's really burning much anymore, if I had to guess, but that's the PCT to Cascade Locks, and this is the alternate. So in keeping with my rules, I guess I'll hike the alternate, which that's kind of exciting. I didn't know. I didn't know about this fire. Down this detour trail is so steep. Then I have to remind myself that every single day on the AT was like this. Look at this water. I mean, that's deeper than a swimming pool. That is the hole there. Oh my God, that's like 20 feet deep. That's 1 foot deep, and the whole river is just this volcanic melted rock. And then for whatever reason, this section's carved out to 20 feet down. I mean, it looks like 20 feet. It might be more than 20 feet. That might be 30 feet down. This is all on the detour from the PCT. This is not part of the typical PCT. You'll see it better from this angle. See how it's almost like the slope of a swimming pool, and it just keeps going deeper and deeper. The only steeper cliff I have ever stood on is the Grand Canyon, going down the Grand Canyon. The handrail is for people who are petrified of See that? But do you really see it? Look at that. Ultra deep water. So stunning. It's so big. It's like, I don't know, that whole water body area is like the size of an Olympic swimming pool. It is so cool that the bottom of this bridge, you could just look right through it. It's like you're walking right over the water. And you would only notice that if you were walking. You wouldn't notice it from your car. And then this is the biggest river I've gone across, I think, since the Hudson. And I think the Hudson was bigger than this. And this is the Hood River, I believe. It's always a cool feeling walking over a river this massive. Look at this tree stump. Massive. So if I were hiking the Appalachian Trail, as of right now, I would be touching the Mount Katahdin side. 2,200 miles on the PCT. But I'm not on the Appalachian Trail. So I'm just at 2,200 miles on the PCT. Okay, this is kind of crazy. This is at eye level. All right, see that string? I guess it kind of disappears. I have to go higher. Yeah, there it is. That's the web. So that's a spider web. It's strung between that bush, that tree, and that tree. That is the craziest spider web I've ever seen. You'll have to forgive the music. I can't help it. But that is a huckleberry shake. So the berries that are growing out in the mountains right now, people have been bringing them into town and they make huckleberry shakes out of them. Pretty cool. Alrighty, I am walking out of Trout Lake now. I've hitched all the way back up to the trailhead back there, and now I'm walking Road 88 on my detour, maybe like half a mile in. It's kind of funny, just a minute ago, this guy and his friend in a Jeep pull up, and they come to a slow stop, and the guy's like, was like kind of old, and he's like, "Did you know you're going the wrong way?" And I just kind of look like, I was like, surely I'm not. I was pretty confident I was going the right way. And he's like, I was just kidding. He literally just stopped to like pull my leg. And then I was like, well, what are you guys up to? And he's like, oh, we're just out driving around. Like, he's like, I grew up around here. Just like some old guy just driving around looking at the beautiful roads. And then, all right, so you see that truck behind me? And you see what's in my hand. These people heard that these people are out hiking, or I guess they just chatted with somebody and they were out camping and they had all these like extra drinks. So now they're just driving down the road, giving away what's left over from their camping trip to hikers. So that just happened. I've been striking a pretty darn fast pace today on this road. I don't remember what time I started walking, but it was something like 3 o'clock. It's now 6 o'clock and I'm over 10 miles in, and as I'm walking down this road, you know, I recognize that in the last week I've had 2 10-mile days. The first one was in Cascade Locks, where I took a little bit of downtime to relax, to be honest, and then the following day, though, honestly, the day that I was relaxing, I'd already hiked 28 miles, so give me a break. But the next day, I didn't leave until 5 p.m. because all day long I was kind of researching ahead for what gear I would need, where to get it mailed, and other stuff like regarding the Continental Divide Trail, and then also planning my route around this fire, which is always complicated. And so I don't consider any of those hours ill spent. Those are all necessary, especially the CDT planning will ultimately save me time down the line, or is consistent with rule number 1, stay safe. And so the next 10-mile day was yesterday. I was planning to come into this fire road ahead, and I was going to get there by 2 o'clock. I was going to hitch in and back out of Trout Lake in 4 hours, which was going to work. And then by 6 p.m., I could be back out on the road and daylight and hitchhike my way back up. But because it turned out that road ahead was actually closed, unknown to me, I had to turn around and hike those 3 miles all the way back to the previous road, which was open, and did not get into town until 4. So 4 hours later, it's 8 p.m. and it's dark out. I mean, if I'd even made it back an hour earlier, I probably could have made it into and back out of town at that point. But the result of all that was that even though I hiked 16 miles yesterday, I only get to count 10 of those miles. And quite frankly, if I had been able to hitch out at that next road that I'd arrived at, I would have been back and hiking by 7 p.m. and I probably would have hiked until 11 p.m., which would have given me probably around 10 to 12 more miles. It would have gotten me up to 28 miles. So I would have been good yesterday. So if you look at it, Cascade was fine. It was necessary. Yesterday was just a tactical mistake with heavy consequences because it was on a day where I had to hitch in. So that little 6-mile detour kind of gained some momentum there and rolled its way into being stuck in Trout Lake overnight. And because of all that, I only got to claim 10 miles yesterday. So I don't know. That probably doesn't matter to other people, but it weighs heavily on me. I really need to be hiking out 28-ish mile days. And those 10 milers, not the first one. The first one was fine. That's totally surmountable. But that second one, that's painful. So I really got to dig deep here and eke out some more miles over 28 miles. Because the 28 is just the bare minimum. That's to keep me on schedule. So to bank back ahead, I got to be coming in over 28. Oh, anything over 28 is bankable to pay off the debts of those 10-mile days. So if you think about it, I got to get 18 for each to bring those days back up to 28s. So I don't know. I could hike 28s and 30s for another month and eventually pay it off slowly. But, you know, within a month, I bet I'll be back having another tactical error somewhere. So I don't know. I gotta make the 35-mile day. I've got to create that in my tool chest somehow. It's not quite there yet. Alrighty, I'm out and about. I was hiking at, I think, 7:40 this morning. It's maybe now it's 8:30 now, so I've been going for about an hour. I'm on a forest road. Duh. And just up here, like literally right up here around that turn, I think is a campground. So if there's a picnic table there, I'm gonna have, well, even if there's not a picnic table there, I'm gonna have breakfast there, which will consist of a blueberry muffin that's 500 calories and a peanut butter and chocolate chip cookie, which is 500 calories. I'm not listing off the types of food to impress people, just more to share, like, that's actually what I'm eating for breakfast. Then you notice the main thing there is the number of calories, and then I would say that it's a sweeter meal, which is easier to consume in the morning. More traditional breakfast items, I don't know, they're not made to move, so I don't know, breakfast is usually donuts, a muffin, or like, unfortunately, a cookie. But you really want to get like 1,000 calories in the morning to get off to a good start. So that'll be enough to carry me from this campground all the way back to the PCT, which is just about 10 miles further ahead. This will be fun. That's a pretty clever way to construct a bridge. You knock over 2 tree logs and then reinforce it with steel right there. You see all these other like hyper elaborate bridges. And you know, all the time I see them, I always think they're just way over engineered. And then boom, you have something like this. Looks like something a dirt biker built. Look what I found. So that's where I want to go. I'm going to pause and eat, I guess, what's lunch. Though, feels good to be back on the trail. All right, do you see it? Without a doubt, that is a bear track. Bear track. Bear track. Bear track. Bear track. Those deep claws dig in. And I turned the camera off and I figured, you know what, screw it, I'll put it right back on. We'll film all the way up to that pass. Because anytime I'm filming, it's like I'm pulling the camera out kind of at the best moments or the worst moments. But you don't really see this. The grind. Because this goes on like 14 hours a day. Sometimes longer. I don't know if you can see that or not, but about 20 birds just jumped out, flushed down the hill. That's the kind of thing I could only film in the way that I just did, which was just to be rolling. Are you bored yet? Because this is what it actually is. Still a lot more to go. So this is a relatively small hill. I mean, it's not small, but if you can imagine, it's like 7:50 p.m. I'm gonna keep going for 2 more hours tonight. And I'm gonna work my way like halfway up another one that's even taller than this right here, than this pass. Because I still have something like 4 to 6 more miles to go tonight. Hopefully 6, if I can maintain 3 miles an hour. So I'm excited to get over this pass. This is like a mini pass compared to the Sierra, but over this pass so I can actually see what's in the next one while there's still daylight. And then I'm gonna hike through it. And then I'll start working my way up the next pass. And I'll probably sleep somewhere like at the base of it or halfway up it. And then that one is gonna be about 1,000 feet higher than where I am now. I think I might actually get a view of where I'm going from right here. We'll see. It's a pretty good chance we will. Check out the moon. So to my eyes, it actually looks a lot darker than what the camera is showing. The camera's kind of lit it up brighter than it is. Oh wow, yeah, we got a view. This is Cispas Pass. So you can see. 6,473. Not too high. I almost want to pause and see where the trail's gonna go so I can point it out. I might do that. Let me get in front of these trees and I'm gonna cut the camera. Okay, pausing for a second. So I'm just guessing, and actually it's wild because I can see so much better with the camera than with my actual eyes. So the trail goes off, can I even find it down there? I bet I can. That's the trail way off down there. So it goes down, and then it winds its way at about that level around. And then somewhere around here, I think it works its way around there. And then there's some other like ridgeline like that I'm gonna go up and over. And so tonight I'm gonna continue this way. For sure I'll get around there. And then like probably 2 more miles back from there. So if I'm guessing, I would say that from here all the way to there is about maybe 2 miles. No, it's probably about 3 miles. So then it's 3 more miles past that ridge. It's kind of crazy to be able to like stand and look and see 3 miles. And to see like your future. This would never happen on the AT. See where you're gonna be going. And then it's just so stunning. All right, I've been filming too long. I'm burning too much battery. So this is where I cut the camera for now.